Oopsie daisy, the Nifty has moved into the red, the mid-cap index as well has moved into the red, and the Nifty Bank as well has suddenly moved into the red. So a lot of stocks have seen selling in the last few minutes. Now you have more number of stocks that are declining in comparison to the number of stocks that are advancing. At the start of trade, it was vice versa, so we should get the crisscross lines up for you. And now, in fact, they've kissed each other, and you have the declines that have the upper end as we speak. Well, let's move on then, and as promised, we're going to get you a steel price outlook as well as demand outlook. To understand that and more, we have Manish Sarda, Director of Sarda Energy, who joins us on the phone line. Hi, Manish, thanks so much for joining in. Give us a couple of details, Manish. In the last 15 days or so, how have steel prices moved? Has there been a big correction? If yes, could you quantify what has been the steel price correction?
Nigel, morning. In the last 15 days, Nigel, we have not seen a major movement in terms of pricing. And the correction, if so, would be around in the range of 300 rupees or so, 300 to 400 rupees.
So what would the absolute price be, and how would that compare to the previous quarter?
If you look at the last quarter versus this quarter, the overall steel price would be around 8% lower.
Okay, 8% lower, but
approximate number of 2,000 rupees per metric ton.
All right, that's exactly what a Goldman Sachs report is telling us. The graphics are flashing for us on the screen. But important point, just want to confirm, in the last 15 days, the steel price correction has been anything between 300 to 400 rupees, not more than that, right?
Not more than that, in the last 15 days.
Okay, all right. So we get that point then in terms of blended steel price correction. There was some fears on the street that maybe the correction is far more. But as you're telling us, the price correction in comparison to the previous quarter is 3,000 rupees. And the last few days, it's down by only around 3 to around 400 rupees. We take both those 2 points.
Yeah, between this quarter and last quarter, it was 2,000 rupees, 2,200 rupees.
Okay.
2,200 rupees lower in this quarter in comparison to the previous quarter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about pellet prices. I remember the last time you joined us, that was in the first half of February. You had told us that pellet prices has surged up. I think they had moved from around 5,500 rupees all the way to around 7,000 rupees, 6,900, 7,000 rupees. From the top, we believe that there is a correction out there. Could you quantify what is the current pellet prices?
The current pellet prices are hovering between 6,000 and 6,200 rupees.
Okay.
Plant. And the pellet prices had been up but has gone down because of the reopening of the Vale mines, the Bukrutu mines.
All right. So the last time you said it was around 6,900. So from there, we've seen a correction of close to around 10% on them.
Yep.
All right, fair point there. So, we'll take the Valley point forward. How have domestic iron ore prices fared?
The domestic iron ore prices have also, been stable. They have not been like, they moved up, but then again, there were discounts given. So they've remained more or less stable.
So we haven't seen a correction out there as what the street was believing?
No, there has been a bit of correction, but there was not a major jump per se. And there has not been a major, a price movement in terms of, in the last 3.5 months. They've all stabilized back.
Okay, we are talking about pricing. Sarda Energy, if I got that number right, I think they make manganese-based ferroalloys, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much of your revenues comes in from manganese-based ferroalloys?
Depending on the pricing, Nigel, but safely speaking, around 35 to 40%.
35 to 40%. Okay, so that's a larger chunk.
On a console basis.
On a console basis. So what is, if 35% of your revenues are coming in from manganese-based ferroalloys, could you give us a sense of how pricing has been out there? Because that will be far more important for your shareholders.
Yeah, the pricing have been stable in the last 3.5 months, and it's been range-bound in the domestic as well as international market, because we are exporting a huge tonnage in export markets as well. So one of the units based in Vizag is totally export-oriented. And pricing have been more or less around 68 to 72 levels.
Right. Manish, we've got you on a good time, because just as we speak, we've gotten some news coming in that Indonesia has set anti-dumping import duty of up to 20% on iron and steel products. If you could give us some more details, how big is the Indonesian market for India? What are the Indian imports coming in, or rather Indian exports to Indonesia?
Does India export to Indonesia? Do you export to Indonesia? Is that a big market, or we should, you know,
India definitely exports their steel and steel products to Indonesia.
Okay.
And a lot of raw materials as well, like ferroalloys, which goes into the Indonesian market. But the overall Indonesian steel industry is around 5 million tons, not more than 5 million tons.
Okay.
And it's not a major impact on the Indian steel industry.
Okay.
It will not have a major impact on the Indian steel industry.
All right. Okay. So that should not have a major impact. You know, the news that's flashing on the screen, Manish Sarda is telling us here that the entire Indonesian steel market is only around 5 million tons. So in that case, you know, the export proportion from India as well will be very, very marginal. We'll take that point. In the last few days, Manish, there's been a lot of fear, slowdown in the auto space. You make longs, right? So your exposure to the auto space will be limited?
No, we have no exposure.
No exposure to the auto space. So how has the demand been in terms of construction space then, since you're making longs?
The demand has been good, Nigel. Demand on the construction side, infrastructure side, the demand has been stable. It's been good. It's just the pricing movements have been up and down because on the back of raw material pricing and fears of iron ore shortages because of Vale mine being shut down. And more or less, the demand also looks to be stable for the coming year as well. And we'll see more demand picking up after the elections.
More demand picking up after the elections. Before we let you go, Manish, a customary question. What's your debt on the books right now? And do these pricing movements derail your debt pairing plans?
Our long-term debts is around 1,150 crores.
150 crores. That means it's increased by about 100 crores, because the last time you said it's about 1,000 crores odd.
No, exact figure. I didn't have the exact figure. I'm giving you a exact figure. Roughly 1,150 crores right now is a book long-term.
That's the net debt in the books?
And the total borrowing would be around 1,500 crores.
So gross debt number is 1,500 crores and net debt number is around 1,150. Is that correct?
Correct.
At a console level. Very quickly, if you could tell us, is there any plan in terms of bringing the debt down from these levels, or are you comfortable having this debt in your books? And also, what is your borrowing cost? What was it, say, you know, a couple of quarters ago, and have you refinanced any part of that debt?
Right now, we have not done anything. And in the near future, we don't think any debt reduction is going to be there for at least a year. And the average borrowing cost is around 11 to 11.25%.
11 to 11.25%. All right, fair point, Manish. Thanks a lot for joining in and giving us all those details. So that was Manish Sarda telling you that while the steel prices have come down by about 300 to 400 rupees in the last 15 days, they're not as much as what the street was fearing, close to 2,200 plus.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Mangalam, on Wednesday itself, JSPL joined us. They said that there hasn't been any big move in terms of steel prices. But there was a fear on the street that maybe, in fact, you know, there was some unverified reports that suggested the price hike was far more. Now, Manish Sarda is giving us those details. He's saying that they don't have exposure to the auto space, and in terms of the steel that he's making as well, the price correction hasn't been that much. But as we know, in comparison, if you compare Q4 pricing with Q3 pricing, then in fact it's down by nearly around 8%, or you said around 2,200 rupees odd. But I think the attention needs to go back to the markets. We're down nearly around 30 points odd. Ashwini just told us at these levels he'll be looking to take a short call on the Nifty, and for the time being that call is working out because the Nifty has broken the 11,500 odd mark. The Nifty Bank, that's corrected, from the top it's corrected nearly around 300 points. Early this morning everyone was celebrating 30,000 on the Nifty Bank. Now we are nearly around 300 points off the high point of the day. So clearly some big profit booking after the massive run that we have seen. To be fair, we have had a big run, 800 points of, keep that into context as well. We're down only around 30 points after having an 800 point rally in the last, a month or so.
Absolutely. And you spoke about Nifty Bank losing. It's at the low point of the day primarily on account of two banks which have been HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank. The fair amount of weight on the Nifty Bank, and you were saying that over the last 2 years HDFC Bank has actually gained about 75 odd percent. So some profit taking, of course, for both ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank. And from the Nifty end of things, Reliance has actually moved to the low point of the day. So all these three components taking the Nifty lower and the Nifty Bank about 300 points from the highs of the day. What we do is take a short break, come back, we get you a roundup of all the individual stocks that are making news in trade today. Stay tuned.